welcome to a special edition of The Big Story. I'm Olivia Quay. You can subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode. Now, news just in. According to the Covid-19 Multi-Ministry Task Force, a vaccine may only become available here in sufficient doses towards the end of next year. The task force also said today that Singapore is proactively working with vaccine developers, pharmaceutical companies and research institutions on research efforts into a vaccine. Discussions have also begun to ensure Singapore will have access to vaccines when they become available.
Practically speaking, we expect perhaps realistically a vaccine to be available perhaps next year rather than this year. And given the global demand for these vaccines, it may not even be in the beginning of next year, but perhaps towards the end of next year, where we might see vaccines produced in sufficient doses and available then for procurement and to be delivered into Singapore.
Meanwhile, enhanced crowd control measures will be put in place at several hotspots, including night spots, beaches, certain malls and parks, as well as HDB towns. For instance, agencies will temporarily close off access to these places as they approach capacity limits. Their car parks may also be selectively closed. These enhanced measures are in light of crowding and poor adherence to safe distancing measures at these popular areas. Well, last weekend, 100 fines were issued to people at gardens, parks and nature reserves. And over the last week, suspension notices and fines were issued to 2 F&B establishments along Circular Road.
Name the night spots that you frequent, whether it's Holland Village, whether it's Dempsey, whether it's Robertson Quay, whether it's Circular Road. Our officers, safe distancing ambassadors are deployed and enforcement officers are deployed regularly to monitor and to take enforcement action where necessary. So over the last week, we had to issue suspension notices and fines against 2 F&B establishments along Circular Road. That's Try Again and Los Amigos. And this was done even after warnings were issued to these establishments. Our safe distancing ambassadors, our enforcement officers are on the ground, and if they were to pick up any breaches, then swift enforcement action will have to be taken to ensure the safety of all their customers and all Singaporeans. And that's why it's in the interest of business owners and operators to really take these measures seriously.
It has emerged that among the community cases, 40% continue to engage in activities after the onset of symptoms. Health Minister Gan Kim Yong said it's critical that people should see a doctor if they feel unwell and stay at home throughout the duration of their medical leave or before their swab results are known. Meanwhile, the number of community cases has remained low at an average of 9 per day compared to 12 per day the week before.
We are now on a good footing, but this can easily change if there is a big cluster and which may spawn second or third generations of infection. And this is why Ministry of Health has been actively identifying high-risk settings to aggressively test and contact trace cases. Coupled with surveillance, this will give us an early sense of emerging cases. When we detect cases, we have taken steps to draw large rings around them to isolate contacts quickly and prevent further transmission. Over the past months, we have conducted several swab operations associated with new emerging workplace clusters. Beyond the workplaces, we also launched swab operations to test individuals who work at retail businesses frequented by multiple positive cases, including 2 supermarkets, and none has tested positive.
On the dormitory situation, National Development Minister Lawrence Wong said the task force is close to completing the dorm clearance. The task force expects all the dorms to be cleared by the beginning of August.
By the first week of August, say around 7th August, we expect to clear all our dormitories, with the exception of a few blocks within the dormitories that are still serving as quarantine facilities. These are 17 standalone blocks in the purpose-built dormitories, which will serve as quarantine facilities. This also means that the vast majority of migrant workers will also be cleared by that time. By the end of that first week of August, we expect that there will be some workers who will be completing their isolation periods. We are looking at a last batch of about 28,000 workers. They would have completed their isolation periods toward the end of the first week of August.
Now, Mr. Wong added that the clearing of dorms, coupled with the community spread being kept under control, will lead to a fall in the daily number of cases. But he cautioned that the fight against COVID-19 is far from over. You can visit straitstimes.com for more details on today's press conference. You can also watch the full press conference on our YouTube channel later tonight, and of course, subscribe by hitting the red button below. I'm Olivia Quay. Have a good night.